What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Luttie's Look Back. My name is Nick Luttrell. We've got a fun show today. It's kind of one of the rare shows in the month of April where we're going to talk Razorback baseball, men's basketball, and football all to start off the show. Then we'll get in some other non-Razorback updates later on in the show. But we'll begin how we always do with my three big things from Arkansas's another disappointing series loss over the weekend, this time to an unranked Texas A&M squad. The first of my three big things: pitching is Arkansas's biggest weakness right now, which is kind of a weird thing to say. The second big thing, Wehiwa Aloy. He is an absolute star. The third big thing, is it time to panic? Not a chance. Let's go back up to my first, and we're going to kind of review these and go one by one before we hear from head coach Dave Van Horn. The first one being pitching. That's the struggle for Arkansas right now. And I know they're struggling in a lot of areas, but pitching seems to be the forefront of their struggles. Right now, their ERA is 3.88, which isn't awful when you think about last year's 3.87. So very similar to where it was last year. And Arkansas was a decently good team as far as on the mound goes last season. But they were helped out a lot by Hagen Smith. They had the one ace last year. They had a couple good guys, and that was it. What I see in this year's team is a deep bullpen, a deep roster of a lot of good pitchers. I think we're still trying to figure out which ones are the ones we want to go with out of the bullpen. Which ones do we want to start for our weekend series? I think that's been a little bit of the struggle lately, is some inconsistency in who's going to be that go-to guy. We figure out the Friday night starter is Zach Root, which isn't what we expected to begin the season. Now, who's the Saturday guy? Is it Gage Wood? He just came off the injury, did not look good in the game on Saturday. Maybe that's Landon Beidelshees. Maybe he moves up. There's a lot of question marks surrounding pitching, and it's just interesting to me because I think Arkansas does have a lot of good weapons, a lot of good pitchers, and at least in this series specifically, that was their biggest weakness. It was not good. And probably the worst of them was Gage Wood, as I just mentioned, recorded just one out, and that's pretty bad. He was only planning to pitch one inning, but he didn't even get through that one inning. He gave up 3 earned runs, so not good. Zach Root was okay, the Thursday night starter, but not what you want out of your ace. Some guys that I will say were great. Dylan Carter was really good. Ben Bybee was really good on Saturday or on Friday, and so was Gabe Gackle. Shout out to Gabe Gackle. If you've been watching this show, if you remember me talking about him, for the past few weeks I've said, put this guy out of the starting rotation, stick him back in the bullpen, and let him come out of the bullpen and pitch for the Hogs, because that's what he did so good last season. Let him try that. Try it out, Dave. And you know what, Dave? Maybe Dave's watching. Maybe head coach Dave Van Horn watches my show. Probably not. But maybe he does. And Gabe Gackle came out of the bullpen, and he had his best game of the season. So I do want to highlight that. I do want to highlight accomplishment from Gackle there. He tied career highs in strikeouts and in innings pitched. But overall, not good, especially in Game 3 when the Hogs lost that Game 3 game to A&M. Landon Beidelshees was okay. Aiden Jimenez wasn't as good as normal. Cole Gibler was bad. Jackson Wiggins was okay. Colin Fisher was bad. Will McIntyre was fine. Christian Fouch was okay. It just wasn't that consistency that you want out of your pitching. And I think that's a problem, and I think that's Arkansas's biggest weakness right now. On the flip side, a positive from this season and from this weekend is Wehiwa Aloy. The Hawaiian is an absolute star. If you've watched no games this year, or if you've watched every game this year for the Razorbacks, if you watched every game, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't watched any games, you need to know that this guy is the go-to playmaker for this Arkansas baseball team. He is the real deal. He's expected to be a top 10 draft pick. Hagen Smith was a top 5 draft pick, so he's not to the level of Hagen Smith, but he's up there. And I might be getting ahead of myself saying top 10. Maybe it's top 20. Maybe it's at least first round. But he is a really special player, and he showed it in this series against really good pitching in Texas A&M. He had 7 hits, 14 at-bats. I'm normally not too good at math, but I know that's batting 500. 7 hits, 14 at-bats. The kid batted 500 over the weekend against an SEC team. That is really good. That's going to get you playing pro ball very soon. Not only can he hit the ball, he can field the ball as well. Highlight after highlight, at least once a game, you're seeing a potential SportsCenter top 10 nominee of him running up to the mound, barehanding it, throwing it to first base. I don't think he's had an error this season. I know fielding wasn't as good this weekend, but Wehiwa Aloy is a stud and is a star on this team. So hopefully the people around him, some of the playmakers around him that I know are good, can start to step up a little bit more, can offer a little bit more of consistency. That'd be nice. But let's focus on the positives, and his name is Wehiwa Aloy, and he is absolutely a positive and absolutely a star on this team. My big point number 3, the big question, as you know with this show, I go, my first 2 points are kind of specific to the game, then my last point is like, all right, let's zoom out and look at things. Is it time to panic? And I'm saying not a chance. Now, ask me a few weeks from now, and if Arkansas has lost the rest of the series, the rest of the regular season, that's going to be a much different response I have. But even when losing the series this weekend, I'm not too panicked. And let me tell you why. The first one being Texas A&M and the talented team that they have. Yes, it was Arkansas's first time they've lost a home SEC series in 3 years. That's not good. But also, this Texas A&M team is got to be one of the hottest teams in the country right now. And yes, I know they're not ranked, but they were the #1 team in the preseason. And most people agree, if you follow college baseball well enough, at the beginning of the season, and I know they've had an injury or two this year, Graham Grahovac being one of them, they were the preseason #1 team, and a lot of people said they were the most talented team in college baseball. The most talented team in college baseball. And so when Arkansas loses to them, that's disappointing, yes. That's disappointing. You want them to win. But it's an Aggies team that is really good. It's an Aggies team that made it to the finals last year of the College World Series. It's an Aggies team that is the most star-studded team in college baseball. So I take it with a grain of salt to the way things went this weekend for the Hogs, because they played a really good team and because they looked really good at times, at least in Game 2 when they won that game in Game 2. Game 1, they looked okay. And then Game 3, I don't want to say it was a complete wash, but they were only down 1 run when that lightning delay hit. 3 innings left, down a run. And I don't know about you, but I like the way Arkansas is hitting the ball right now. I know they didn't hit it out at as much as they wanted to this past weekend, but they're still a top 15, top 22 hitting team in the country. I know they can hit the ball well. And when that lightning delay hit, you just felt the momentum change, because as soon as they got back from that lightning delay, A&M just dominated from that point forward. Aiden Jimenez had to be pulled out. They had to put in Cole Gibbler, and that was a disaster from that point forward. So I just wonder if that doesn't happen. We can play this what if game all day long. It doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say, my summarization here, there's still a lot of baseball left, and it's not time yet to panic about Arkansas in this baseball program. Those are some of my thoughts from the weekend. And before we hear from head coach Dave Van Horn, I want to do something new. I want to remind you folks that you can be a part of the show too. If you've not already given me a follow on Facebook or on X or anywhere else, feel free. Shoot me a message. DM me, message me, preferably on Facebook or via email. Probably be a little bit more easy for me to respond there. X is a little bit weird these days. I'm going to be more than happy to hear your thoughts on not just okay, what can I include in this show that you want to talk about, but also your thoughts, your opinions. If you have a take, if you disagree with me, if you think maybe that the fielding is Arkansas's biggest weakness, or it is time to panic, I want to hear your thoughts. And starting next week, if I get a really good hot take in my inbox or in my DMs about how Arkansas can be better in baseball, or if you have a hot take for UAPB baseball or Arkansas softball or anything else, I'm going to include it in next week's show. That's a guarantee. If it's something that is worth including, so make it worth it. But please reach out to me. I'll make sure to give you a response, and also most likely include it in next week's show. So feel free to do that. With all that being said, let's go back to Arkansas baseball now. Here's head coach Dave Van Horn on what he wants to see improved out of this group going forward.
Well, we've got to get some things situated. We don't have Souza at second base anymore. And, you know, our shortstop just keeps making play after play, and we need to make sure that we continue to play really good defense. We got to get a few guys going offensively. You know, last weekend it was who it was, and, you know, Davlin didn't have a great weekend last weekend. He had a great 3 games this weekend. Aloy's been good every weekend, and you know, Cahill's been pretty good, but then it's been just a little bit of here and there. We just need to get a few more guys rolling, and we can put up some bigger innings.
Yeah, you heard from Van Horn there. Consistency. Consistency is the issue with this baseball team right now, and that's baseball in general. Like, I get it. That's just how the game works. That's how sports works. Sports works. You're not always going to be consistent, and it's hard with baseball, I know. But you want to see a little bit more consistency out of some of these star players for Arkansas, because they have a lot of really good players, even in the bullpen, in the dugout, that you've never heard of, that can hit the ball a long way. And Coach Van Horn is wanting to play them. And he might have to change the lineup around a little bit. You saw him do that in the Texas A&M series a little bit. He might have to do that going forward. So we'll see. We'll talk a little bit more about baseball at the end of the show and what they have coming up. Let's talk about basketball now. In case you missed it, this past week, Arkansas finally announced a lot of returners, a lot of things to next year's team. I've been talking about it on this show for the past few weeks. I've showed that graphic, which we'll show later on, about who's returning and leaving and incoming and everything. And it's been no changes for the weeks, and I thought it would change every week. Finally, this week, it does change. And before we talk about that, let's hear from the guy who made the change happen. That's head coach John Calipari.
I just met with the team, and there is a team this year. So let me go over some of the roster, what we're doing, who's going to be here. Not quite finished, but I'm feeling really good about this group.
What's up, Hog Nation? Let's run it back. I'm all in.
Yo, what's good, Razorback Nation? It's TB. Just want to say I'm excited to come back and do another year on the hill. Whoopee.
I'm all in, Razorback Nation. Year 2. Let's do it.
And on top of that, you read today, Carter is testing the waters, which I fully agree with. That being said, I'm liking this group.
All right, so you love to hear from Coach Cal. Finally, we got some movement in my special graphic that I spent like an hour trying to make and trying to perfect for you guys. And so here it is, highlighted in yellow, the changes that you missed from this past week that you might have missed. Probably the biggest one and the first big news that dropped earlier last week, Carter Knox declaring for the NBA draft. That's probably wrong to say declaring for the NBA draft. He put his name into contention for possibly going into the NBA draft. He's going to go through the process. He has until, I think, mid-June. There's a date in mid-June. I can't remember off the top of my head that he has to withdraw by. So he'll be departing as of now. And you see the asterisk by his name. He does have the opportunity after a month or so of seeing, hey, can I get drafted? How much money will I get if I get drafted? How much money will I get if I go play overseas with a G League team? If he doesn't like that number, this is just my prediction, he'll come back to Arkansas. So as of now, Coach Cal's going to leave a spot open for him. So we'll see how that pans off and then pans out. You saw the guys returning: DJ Wagner, Trevin Brazil, Billy Richmond, Jaden Carulueta as well. So good news for all of those guys, especially the big 3. And then some incoming transfers that you didn't hear from there, but that signed this past week. Malik Ewan, a transfer big man from Florida State. And then Nick Pringle, also a big man from South Carolina, who's at Alabama the year before that. So both of them have been around a little bit, but it'll be exciting to have them back. So it's still probably 3 or 4 open spots left on the roster, but we'll come back to me for this part about it. So you saw there the departers, the returners, and the additions for Arkansas basketball. You see it behind me. That's what it looks like going forward for the Arkansas basketball team. Ideally, you get a couple more transfers in, and so Cal is keeping an eye on who's in the transfer portal. I imagine in the next few weeks this will get pretty much finalized, except for the Carter Knox thing. I don't know how long that'll take, if I'm being completely honest. And a big note to note before we go on is a big recruit, top 10 recruit, a guy who's supposed to be a top 10 draft pick, had Arkansas in his top 3. He's an incoming freshman, Nate Ament. And I've talked about him once or twice on the show. Ended up committing to Tennessee. So I think Arkansas was kind of holding out hope that he would be with the Hogs next season. That would give them 3 guys in the ESPN 100 top 10 as far as freshmen. Arkansas would have been a preseason top 10, top 5 team. But he went to Tennessee. So now Coach Cal will do some work in the transfer portal. But that is basketball. Let's move on to football now for the Hogs. Coach Pittman, no spring game. No spring game for Arkansas football. A little disappointing. I don't know if hopefully none of you drove up there and was really looking forward to the spring game. I don't know. It's hard to be super excited about this Arkansas football program right now. But there are some positives. And for me personally, there wasn't the spring game that we got to watch on Saturday, but I did get to go to a practice about a week ago and see, okay, what does this team actually look like? I got to hear from Coach Pittman, what does this team actually look like? Are you excited for this team? So some of my takeaways, just briefly before we hear from Coach Pittman about this team. Some big things, some overarching things before we get into the specifics. Big things. Offense. The offensive side of things, I think, is going to be really good. I think they're going to be even better than they were last year. It's all about, can Taylor Green take care of the ball, not turn the ball over. They'll have TG back at quarterback. He'll be QB number 1. They got Bobby Petrino in his second year at the helm as offensive coordinator again. Offense will be good. Flip side of it, defense, I just don't know. And I've heard that from other media people I've talked to who have studied and watched more practices up in Northwest Arkansas than I have. Coach Pittman is honestly pretty candid about that as well. His first press conference before spring ball, he wasn't so sure about the defense, but he really liked the offense. So I'm agreeing with Pittman there based on the little that I've seen in comparison to the head coach. So I think the defense, a lot of question marks. The biggest one is they lack depth. They look good as far as, okay, here's what the starters will look like at the linebackers, the cornerbacks, or the D-line. But then after that, the 2 deep doesn't look so good. You don't like those guys sitting in that backup position, and they're just not as deep as they need to be. So that could be an issue. But going along with that, Coach Pittman obviously recognized that. He went out and got 4 transfer portal pickups already since the spring portal opened up. Yes, there's a transfer portal it's complicated. It's transfer portal so complicated. I'm not going to get into it right now, but this is football. Transfer portal opened up a week ago. Pittman got 4 guys out of the portal, all defensive guys. So that shows you who he needs. It's defensive guys. He's already got 4 of them. Some specifics, we'll dive into this team. Taylor Green, QB1, I mentioned it. The backup quarterback, you might have a few questions there. It looked like, based on what I was seeing in practice, KJ Jackson, who was the 3rd string last year, looks like he's competing for the backup quarterback position along with Madden Maliava, who you might remember his brother, Nico Maliava. He's been in the news recently because he left Tennessee because he wanted more money. Now he's at UCLA with less money. A whole thing there. This is his younger brother, incoming freshman, a really good player. Should be a really good player for Arkansas. I don't know if he'll be ready to be a really good player this year, but he might be good enough to be the backup, and that would be really impressive. Running backs, okay, you remember Braylon Russell? Hey, I'm entering the transfer portal. I'm leaving. He did it like 6 times. He's back. He's here. He's with the Razorbacks. But it seems like he may not be running back number 1. Based on what I was seeing, Mike Washington Jr., a transfer portal pickup for the Razorbacks in the offseason, it seems like he could be the more skilled back, and then Braylon play more of a bruiser type role, kind of like he did last year. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. They also got Rodney Hill. The wide receivers on the offensive side for Arkansas, they'll be okay. It's still kind of hard to tell as far as wide receivers. There's just so many of them. Tight ends, Rohan Jones, the one who's standing out to me. He was one of the best in the FCS last year. He's a big guy. I mean, they all looked big when I was walking around them. But Rohan Jones looked big and looked pretty physical for a tight end. Offensive line, that's the biggest thing that when you watch their games this season, my hope is, and I'm saying this in April, that you're going to be able to tell the offensive line is better from where this offensive line was a year ago versus what they're going to be this year. I think they'll be that much better. I think they'll be deep. Barring any injuries, I think they're going to be a pretty good offensive line. So isn't that exciting, right? Finally, Sam Pittman gets a good offensive line. And if he doesn't do it this year, then like he's got to go. He's got to go if he doesn't have a good offensive line, if he doesn't have a good team this year. That's the offense side of the ball. Defense, I wasn't paying attention to as much. I was more looking at the offense. Defense, I think, again, lacks depth. They'll be okay. Still a lot of question marks there for the Arkansas defense. But Coach Pittman, as I mentioned, he said, you know, and when he talked about this team before spring ball, he talked about how he really likes the offense. He's not sure about the defense. But overall, for his team, he's pretty confident in them.
I like the team. I like the camaraderie of the team. I like the age of the team. Even the young guys are mature. It's fun to get up in front of them and talk to them and coach them, and you don't see the head hanging or the look of coach don't know what he's talking about when Scott's up there in special teams, from when I'm talking to him, where the coordinators are talking to him, the position coaches. It's just been a team that it's amazing how you put a team together. You know, it is nowadays. And I think that's everywhere. Obviously, we've had our fair share of guys, you know, in the portal. But I just like the group of guys. I think it's a lot to have to do with the leadership of Talon and Sorey and Dix and those guys, Devin Bell. But I do. I like this team. I like the physicality of the team. I like the speed of the team. And I like the character of the team.
So again, spring ball in the books now for Arkansas football. The next chance that we'll have to take a look at them is like August 1st, end of July. It'll be a while. It'll be many months until we get another chance to see what this team will look like. And of course, we'll see, you know, as the course of the months go on, who they can get in the transfer portal now that the spring portal period has opened up. But still a lot to go, but those are some of the brief thoughts I have on the Arkansas football team as far as spring football is concerned. To something a little bit more relevant right now, it's a top 10 team, Arkansas softball. The Hogs get an easy series win over Colorado State over the weekend. They moved to 34-9 overall. As nice as those wins were over the Rams, there were kind of two separate storylines that were really fun over the weekend. One of them being Reese Burline, a perfect game in 5 innings. And then Bree Ellis, she got an Athletes Unlimited Softball League golden ticket. Only like a dozen players get that to be drafted into this new pro softball league. But first, before we talk about Ellis, I want to get Coach Deifel's thoughts on the impressive performance that it was from Reese Burline, who had the program's third ever perfect game.
It was awesome because when Jaden came in and scored, our team started running out to, you know, get excited with her. And I got to have that moment with Reese of like, Reese, you know, like, wow. And so just getting to, I think, be your first hug out of it and just seeing the joy on her face was just a really cool moment. She pitched her butt off today. She's been grinding for that. I'm just really, really proud of her.
So granted, it was in 5 innings, but still pretty impressive that she pitched a perfect game. That's in case you don't know what that is. It's no walks. She didn't walk a single batter, and the Colorado State didn't get a single hit off of her. And her defense helped her out a lot. They had some pretty spectacular players on the defensive side of things as far as fielding is concerned. But really cool for Reese Burline. Only 2 other players in Arkansas softball history have done that. So that was one cool storyline from the weekend. The other was Bree Ellis. She received a golden ticket to the ASUL, and it's hard for me to put into words what that means because, to be honest, that was the first time I had heard of it. But for Bree Ellis, it was not. It was something that was clearly very important to her.
I try and talk about my teammates as much as I can. But today is a little bit special because I can't even explain to anybody how hard that I have worked, and worked, you know, growing up in college this past year. It this game is really hard and it is really unforgiving, and just the perseverance that I've had to just be able to really turn it around, and achieve something that, 5 months ago I didn't even think was possible. It's just, it's amazing. It's really an amazing feeling.
It's obviously a very special moment for Bri Ellis right there. One of the best players in college softball right now, and it was clear she got that golden ticket. That means in June she'll be drafted into this new pro softball league, and she'll be really fun watching for years to come. I know pro softball isn't the most popular sport, but I got a feeling we're going to be watching her as that sport does continue to grow, albeit at the pro level or the Olympics. I think when the Olympics come to LA in 2028, I think I say LA, but I think they're playing the softball portion of the Olympics in Oklahoma City. I could be completely wrong, but I feel like that's right. You can probably fact check me on that. But that is that's Bri Ellis, and I mentioned she's been playing so well this year. She's batting nearly 500. The teams don't even pitch to her. That's how good she is, and they shouldn't, because every time she gets the ball even close to the strike zone, she hits a home run. If you were watching our broadcast on Tuesday when Arkansas played against UCA, the Bears head coach was talking about, whose name is escaping me right now, talking about how they were trying to throw her a ball, and it was basically a ball, but she still hit it out of the park. That's how good she is against a pretty good UCA team as well, who we'll get to a little bit later. But for Arkansas, let's talk about briefly the team as a whole, what they have coming up. Easy win against Colorado State. Now what's next? They got 6 games left this season. 6 games left. They're continuing to get better as the season goes along, but now comes probably one of their toughest challenges of the season. Their toughest challenge in a couple weeks. They play at Texas A&M, the #1 team in the country. When the poll comes out today, they may not be #1 anymore because they did lose to Missouri over the weekend. 1 game, they won the other 2. But it'll be a top 10 matchup, which will be really exciting at Texas A&M. So if Arkansas can get 1, that'd be great. If they can somehow steal 2, that'd be really impressive. That would set them up for a lot of success. So they play at Texas A&M, then they come back the next weekend and play against LSU, who is number 9 in the country right now. So that also has a potential to be a top 10 matchup in the world of college softball. Those are the last 2 SEC series of the season for Razorback softball, and then they have the SEC tournament after that. And then the weekend after that is regionals and super regionals and College World Series. So it's getting here fast, folks. The postseason is getting here fast. For softball and then baseball the weekend after that, things will start to happen fast. So that's enough Arkansas softball talk. We'll quickly finish up some other baseball and softball scores from around the weekend. We'll start with Little Rock. Man, what a run that they've been on. They lost their game to potentially sweep Western Illinois over the weekend. They lost that one. But before that, they had won 8 straight, including a really impressive win over Ole Miss a week ago. This past weekend, a 2-1 series win over Western Illinois. Thursday, 10-8 win. Friday, 11-7 win. And then Saturday, an 8-6 loss. And I'm going to mention three or four teams of our teams that are playing good right now, and that's Little Rock baseball, and it starts with them, winners of their 8 of their last 9 games. And also start with Ty Rhodes. The third baseman for the Trojans has been tearing the cover off the ball this past weekend. 9 hits, 14 at-bats. That makes for an over 600 batting average. So Rhodes playing really good. They got a lot of other weapons on this Little Rock baseball team that's playing good right now in the OVC. And a team that was, I think, picked to win the OVC or picked to be one of the better teams. I think they won it last year in the regular season. Of course, as you know, that doesn't really matter. What matters is winning the conference tournament and making it into the NCAA tournament. So I'm sure they're hoping to do that, but they're playing really good right now. And speaking of teams that are playing really good, UAPB, their second sweep in a row. That's back-to-back conference sweeps. They defeated Southern on Thursday 15-1, Friday 13-3, and Saturday 5-4. The MVP of the weekend for the Golden Lions, Carlos Rodriguez Velez, 8 hits on 13 at-bats. That's also over 600 batting average. Designated hitter, a senior for this Golden Lions program that's been playing really good as of late, especially in this past weekend. 6 straight conference wins for a UAPB team that had 6 wins total heading into conference season. That's pretty impressive. And I know they probably played a tough non-conference. I know the SWAC isn't much to talk about in college baseball, but 6 wins in a row in your conference is something to be celebrated. 6 of the last 7, because you can't say 6 in a row because they lost to Arkansas last week. They're not going to beat the Razorbacks. But they've been playing really good right now. So keep an eye on UAPB. Logan Stout's got those guys playing good in year 1. Arkansas State series loss to Georgia Southern. They won on Thursday, lost back-to-back games on Friday and Saturday. Will French has been hitting the ball okay, or he's been hitting the ball good, and but some of the other weapons that they have offensively, they're not hitting the ball as much as well as they'd like to. Pitching has been solid. That's what's carried them, but it didn't carry them enough in this series against Georgia Southern. So that was obviously a little bit of a problem. Arkansas State, we talked about UAPB, we talked about Little Rock. UCA baseball swept by Lipscomb, not looking good there. On the flip side, UCA softball swept Lipscomb. Key word there, swept by and swept. Baseball swept by Lipscomb. Softball, they swept Lipscomb. So softball's playing good right now. They won 5-3, 10-2, and 9-6. Just like Arkansas softball, 2 series left for them in the Atlantic Sun. They're currently second in their conference, the ASUN. Did I write that down? The ASUN Gold Division. Yeah, they're 2 games back of Eastern Kentucky. So 2 series left, 2 games back. They got time to continue to make up for maybe some lost ground that they had maybe earlier on in the season. But they're a good team. We'll see if they can continue to rally. And then UAPB softball, shout out to them, doing good, picking up not only their first conference win of the season over the weekend, but their first conference series win. So that is all the recap of college baseball and college softball from over the weekend. The Lutties look ahead. This is how we finish up my show, how we always do. It's Arkansas baseball against Little Rock baseball. I mentioned the Trojans played really good as of late, so maybe watch out for an upset here as Arkansas is not playing so good as of late. We'll see. We'll have to see how things go. But yeah, Tuesday's game at 6:30, SEC Network Plus. And they're playing 2 games, which is a little bit rare. I bet Arkansas could wish they would have only played 1 game, but thankfully they do have a little bit of time off. Their last game was Friday of this past week, so they got some time off. Hopefully the Razorbacks can take advantage here, and then they will have their next SEC series at Florida this upcoming weekend. So now we'll go to how you can there we go. All right, I just kind of forgot the order there. How you can contact the show. I mentioned this at the beginning, but please feel free to reach out. Message me on Facebook, X, or send me an email. I will be pretty responsive because I'm always looking forward to see how I can improve this show, but also what you have to say, to hear your opinions on Lutties Look Back and a lot of these sports teams that I talk about. Well, that's going to do it for another really fun, exciting episode of Lutties Look Back, talking a lot of Razorbacks, a lot of college baseball and softball, and we'll do it again, same time, same place next week. We'll see you then.